Thank you. A woman just died recently. She was 101 years old, and her name was Rennie, I can't pronounce the last name.
Riefenstahl.
Riefenstahl, thank you.
Right, celebrated by
Hollywood. She had a shocking
Hollywood.
resemblance to you, and do you realize that she did more to promote hatred? A filmmaker.
That's a very good argument.
Okay.
I'm much like a Nazi.
So, my point is...
Liberals are just getting smarter and smarter. That's it. You found the flaw in my speech. You found the flaw. I take it all back. I take back my books. You're right. I have resemblance to a Nazi. You know, if you sign people's books, but there are all these liberals here with that aren't my book. I'm not going to sign people's books here because you're blocking their way. You're a very rude person.
I think you're an asshole.
I should have thought of that.
Yes, write a rant, please. Thank you.
Well, I had actually read Al Franken's book, Lies and the Lying Liars Who Tell Them, and I got a little bit of what Anne Coulter was like, but I don't think that really prepared me for what she said about me, my friends. I mean, I guess I'm an America-hating liberal, like 75% of the people who attended this lecture. but here's one cool thing. I came here with a shirt that says "Traitor" here, and she actually signed it up there, and she says,
What did she?
"Have fun in Guantanamo."
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah, I know.
So naturally, some illegal aliens were held for months after 9/11. Some were held so long they had to drop out of flight school altogether.
Thank you. What I love about you is that you're beautiful and smart. No, and you're a woman.
Thank you.
And we need women like you. I love it.
I note that the characterization of France and Germany as allies is relatively recent. I guess you could call them allies, but it's a theory that's never really been tested. Liberals longed for kind words from France because they knew France was opposed to liberating Iraq. Of course, liberating Nazi concentration camps wasn't high on their priority list either. I'm not sure why we needed the moral authority of Germany before taking out a dictator who gasses his own people. But I'll say this for the Germans, they sure can fight. Which raises the question, what theoretically would France have been contributing to the war effort?
Thank you for coming.
Thank you. It was a
I'm
great
so sorry
speech.
that they were so rude to you. You're like seriously my idol, though.
God
Seriously.
bless you.
You see, all the pretty girls are on my side.
Teddy Kennedy recently said that the war to liberate Iraq was a fraud, which was a pretty serious charge coming from someone as widely respected as Teddy Kennedy. He said that the administration's current policy in Iraq was adrift, kind of like a car that's just been driven off a road.
Mira, M-I-R-A? M-E-E-R-A. That's a pretty name.
It's Indian.
Oh, you're an Indian?
Yeah.
Are you a Sikh?
No, I'm Hindu.
I have a lot of Sikh friends for some reason.
Really?
I think you're my first Hindu.
Good. I feel honored.
It's nice. You're doing a good job for the Hindus.
The quislings and cowards of the Democratic Party have exposed themselves as the Neville Chamberlains of their day. Apparently, they think that's worth a warm handshake from Susan Sarandon.
Anne, who's with each of her 3 books, has changed the political discourse, has opened up a debate that stretches for long periods of time and covers many of the things that she's raised that other people weren't debating and discussing until she did raise them.
Liberals call, or Democrats call, Republicans every name in the book. racists, sexist, homophobes, anti-Semites, going to turn back the clock on civil rights. The one thing you can't say about someone is that he's unpatriotic, as long as if it's a Democrat. Oh, okay. You can say it's not true, or the sign of true patriotism, rather. True patriotism is supporting the public schools. True patriotism is opposing the Patriot Act. But you can't say true patriotism is supporting your country. Once you isolate the animosity of a lot of liberals toward, for example, war in Iraq, it's really hard to come to a conclusion that this is being done for any reason other than rooting against America. Because as you say, I mean, purely on a human rights template, this is a guy we should have been taking out. Before 9/11, I would have said, sorry, there are a lot of bad people in the world. I wish other countries of the world luck, but we're not going to go around and have Americans die to create Ohio in the rest of the world. But after 9/11, this is an area of the world we need to clean up. But the worst case scenario is we're taking out a monster who gassed his own people. I mean, liberals were, as I describe in my book, enthusiastic about war in the Balkans on the basis of some pretty, phony, drummed up numbers about the human rights abuses. Compared to Milosevic, Saddam is a monster. We can argue about when it is and isn't in America's self-interest. What's happened is liberals have turned it into a bad reason to go to war because we have a self-interest in it. I mean, you see the same thing with their denunciations of Israel, which is, Israel shouldn't be acting here because it's in Israel's self-interest. Actual Israelis are being killed. And which is why I make the point that during World War II, Republicans were slow to respond to the threat of Hitler. That is indisputable. FDR was magnificent in fighting World War II. But once we were hit at Pearl Harbor, the Republican Party did not spend World War II taunting FDR about Hitler didn't hit us at Pearl Harbor. Why are we going after Hitler? Where's Hitler? I mean, you can't even imagine that. But we've become so accustomed to the Democratic Party opposing the reasonable national defense objectives of the country that people don't even notice it. I think I could win a case in court that people who think we should not go to war because France doesn't approve are not patriotic. I mean, it's one thing to say, which is why Buchanan is actually a beautiful illustration of my point. Buchanan and Bob Novak opposed the war in Iraq. But okay, they didn't oppose it because the UN didn't approve.
Some of the stuff I just think is just off the, over the wall. And I tell her that. And another time she has great insights. But she also has moments that's just hysterical, like when she said, she's being interviewed, are you a neocon? And she said, no, I'm a WASP.
I am a Connecticut WASP, so like Howard Dean, I'm uncomfortable talking about religion. Unlike Howard Dean, I believe in God. Well, I don't know how much time I'll have to spend with you. They're filming a documentary. Yes. Uh-huh. About me. That's why we're going to New Canaan. Okay, I love you. Bye-bye. My father was a lawyer. He's retired now. My parents still live there, and my mother was a homemaker. 2 older brothers, so 5 in all conservatives. I mean, I'm sure we have disagreements about things. We considered Thanksgiving or Christmas dinner an utter failure if we didn't argue about both religion and politics. No, Mother still sends us Easter baskets.
Mother, she sends you Easter baskets? She bails at you?
Isn't that cute? My parents would travel a lot. They leave the country a lot. And when I was in high school, even starting around junior high school, my oldest brother, because he's a lot older than I am, was already in law school in New York. Or maybe even out of law school. And so I'd come in and live with him in New York and commute back to New Canaan High School. We referred to it as the Dirty Air Program, bringing kids from the boring, stultifying suburbs into exciting New York City. And so I'd live with him on the Upper East Side and go out with him and then commute back to New Canaan to go to junior high school and high school. Oh, it was unbelievably great.
Did you beg your parents to travel more?
Yes. I had just broken up with my first boyfriend. I was 14 years old and I was moping around the house. And my brother was in law school then. And I was moping around all weekend. He had come out to visit, and he wanted to bring me back into a law school party. And my parents agreed, I think because I was mopey,